All right. Good evening once again to everyone and our university representatives who are going to be presenting for today. For our second session of the day, let's all welcome the University of British Columbia. The University of British Columbia, more commonly known as UBC, is a globally recognized public research university located in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada. Founded in 1908, it is the oldest university in the province and consistently ranks among the top 20 public universities worldwide. UBC has two main campuses: the Vancouver campus, situated near the university endowment lands at the Pacific Spirit Regional Park, and the Okanagan campus in Kelowna, which was established in 2005. The university is home to over 72,000 students, including 28,237 international students from more than 150 countries. Once again, let's give it up for Mr. Malcolm McNichol as he introduces us to the University of British Columbia.
Great. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction, Andre. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. My name's Malcolm. I'm an international student recruiter and advisor for the University of British Columbia, commonly known as UBC. That's what I'll be referring to, it to as tonight. I'm actually based in Hong Kong, so we're working in the same time zone. So actually moving forwards after this session, if you have any questions, whether it's about this presentation, UBC's application process, or anything UBC related, you're welcome to reach out to me. You can find my email there on the screen. And for anyone with their phones on them, please feel free to scan this QR code over here. It'll allow you to fill out a short sort of survey that allows to keep in touch in the future. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about UBC and studying in Canada. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, you'll all have a better idea about university life at UBC, our campuses, and most importantly, whether UBC would be the right fit for you. But before we begin, let's start with something we call a land acknowledgement. So I would like to respectfully acknowledge that the UBC Vancouver campus is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. And we also respectfully acknowledge the traditions and customs of the Silks Okanagan people in whose territory our UBC Okanagan campus is situated on. All UBC staff and students are encouraged to learn more about the history of the land and to honor its original custodians. And hopefully, as many of you begin your journey with us here at UBC, it'll be an aspect that you learn more about as well. As you start to think about this university journey that you're about to embark on, how exciting, right? I'd like you to imagine what you want your university experience and life to look like. Then you can start to picture whether UBC and what I talked to here today would be the right fit for you. Today, I'll be sharing 3 qualities that really stand out about UBC: our academic excellence, the ideal location of our 2 charming campuses, and all the opportunities for active learning and student involvement which make up your campus life. So as I mentioned, one aspect we really pride ourselves on at UBC is the excellence and quality of education that we can provide to you guys, our students, via our institution. And one way we're able to do so is because over 99% of our professors are PhD degree holders who are experts in their fields. And our commitment to academic success is further demonstrated by all the state-of-the-art facilities and classroom services, some of which you saw in the video just there, and I'll touch on a bit more later as well. And as I'm sure a lot of you are beginning to research all the masses of the different universities that you want to apply to, we know it's a tough decision to make. I was there once before too. I don't envy you at all. But in a sea of over 25,000 universities in the world, we at UBC are very, very proud to be ranked amongst the top 40. So for those of you who might be more interested in rankings and statistics, UBC is consistently ranked amongst the top research institutions worldwide. And what does this tell you? Well, this tells you that UBC is well known. And an undergraduate degree from UBC carries international recognition. And this recognition, it opens doors for you globally, worldwide, and also paves the way for ambitious postgraduate studies or for successful careers anywhere in the world. Now, obviously, we don't encourage our students to apply and choose a university just based off its ranking alone. There are so many other important factors to consider. I personally believe that the fit, program, location, campus culture. These are all components that play a part in the decision-making process. And one factor that might be important to you is diversity. Well, I'm very happy to share that UBC is the most international university in North America, home to over 19,000 international students who come from over 140 different countries. So at UBC, you'll not only be able to interact with your professors, but your classmates, your friends, roommates will all come from diverse backgrounds and have diverse perspectives. We call it peer-to-peer learning. So studying at UBC is more than just an academic pursuit. It's a global experience that'll really broaden your horizons and hopefully enrich your understanding of the world. But going to university, it's more than just studying and taking exams. You're there to live, to work, to make connections. So the location matters too. And I'd like to tell you a little bit more about what we have to offer in British Columbia. So why should you study in Canada? Not just UBC Vancouver or UBC Okanagan, but why should you study in Canada as a whole? Well, Canada has one of the world's best education systems, with over 55% of the population holding tertiary qualifications. So you'll be exposed to this sort of educational environment. On top of that, you'll be studying in a beautiful location with plenty to do outdoors. And most importantly, we're a safe location. So especially for international students like yourselves, or if there are any parents in this call, you might be concerned about the safety of a country when studying abroad. This isn't something you'll have to worry about in Canada. Something else you might want to consider are the opportunities beyond your graduation. All students who graduate from a designated learning institution in Canada or from a 4-year degree program, which includes UBC, can apply for a postgraduate work permit. And what this does is it allows you to work full-time for up to 3 years after you graduate. So this opportunity is open to anyone who plans to stay in Canada after graduating and work on developing their careers there. So as you may be aware, and as Andrei so kindly introduced earlier, we do have 2 separate UBC campuses, UBC Vancouver, based in Vancouver, obviously, and then UBC Okanagan, based in Kelowna. And just to give you a bit of a visual, we have a map here. We're located on the west coast. You can see the green and red dots right at the top left there, just above Seattle and Portland. And we're just about a 3-hour flight down to San Francisco and Los Angeles. So when we're talking about UBC Okanagan and the city of Kelowna, it's one of the fastest growing cities in Canada. It's got a population of just over 200,000 people. Kelowna is a hot tech hub, and it's commonly known as the Silicon Valley of the North. And this is because it's home to over 700 different tech companies. So for students who might be interested in exposure to entrepreneurship opportunities or career in the tech industry, you might want to consider studying here. Overall, the climate in Kelowna is primarily sunny throughout the year. We do have snow in the winter as well. And because of this lovely weather, it's now become one of the most popular tourist destinations in Canada. So in Kelowna, you will be able to experience all 4 distinct seasons throughout the year, from the ski resorts in the winter to the lakes and mountains in the summer. And you'll see on our next slide that our lovely Okanagan campus is surrounded by all this amazing scenery, the lakes and mountains, and it's only a 20-minute drive into the city center. In terms of the UBC Okanagan campus specifically, we call it a medium-sized campus, and we have over 10,000 undergraduate students here. So the campus feels much more intimate and closely knit. There's more of a chance you'll bump into your professors, your friends, classmates when walking from class to class. There's an average class size of 30 or so, and you really won't find this often in a top 40 university. So it's ideal for any students who might prefer a smaller class size in that sort of environment. The campus is relatively newer and modern and has access to all of these awesome state-of-the-art facilities, research facilities, rec centers, creative labs and spaces, libraries, student housing, and so on. So that's our Okanagan campus. And now moving over to our Vancouver campus, it's just about a 1-hour flight away or 4 or 5-hour drive. One thing to note is that you will only be attending one campus, so this isn't a commute you're going to have to worry about. It's just to give you a bit of an idea of the distance between the two. So Vancouver is a comparatively larger city, and there's always so much going on there. You can find beaches, you can go skiing, go snowboarding, and go downtown for nightlife, all within one day. And an exciting note, for me especially, but also for any other football fans out there, is that part of the 2026 World Cup will be held in Vancouver. So we might see some football stars there in 2026. Vancouver has a very diverse population. In fact, half of the people who live in Vancouver are not even from Vancouver. They choose to make Vancouver their home. And this really speaks to the quality of life that the Vancouverites enjoy over there. You'll hear many languages around the city, a lot of Mandarin, Cantonese, Japanese, maybe Tagalog, and it's very multicultural. And it's really easy to feel at home as well, especially for international students like yourselves. So moving over to the UBC Vancouver campus specifically, it's a larger size campus. So we saw that the Okanagan campus had just over 10,000 undergraduate students. Our UBC Vancouver campus has over 48,000 undergraduate students. So while it's only a 25-minute drive into the sort of downtown city center district, we call our Vancouver campus a city within a city. So you can really experience that sort of North American campus-based university lifestyle that you might picture in the movies when you're here. The campus has its own grocery stores, restaurants, gyms. There's an Olympic-sized swimming pool, museums, theaters, student residences, libraries, and even its own hospital and fire station. The campus is huge, it's enormous, but it's still very convenient and walkable. And you are given 10 to 15 minutes in between classes just to make sure you can make your way throughout campus itself. There's also a very convenient bus service too for all our students to make their way into town whenever they need. But regardless of which campus you do choose to apply to, you do have access to similar facilities, many of which we can see in this clip here. And this includes student housing. So all students graduating from high school and entering their first year at UBC have access to guaranteed first-year housing. For international students like yourselves, or for those visiting Vancouver for the first time, it's really a great way to get accustomed to student life. Our residences come with meal plans too, so you don't need to worry about buying groceries and cooking in your first year. And all the housing systems really give you a chance to meet some of your new best friends. There are different options for the housing situation. You can indicate whether you want a shared room or a single room. We'll ask if you're more organized or messier, or if you prefer a livelier or quieter place to stay. We really take all of this into consideration and ensure our students are placed in the most comfortable setting possible. So at UBC, we believe that learning is a full experience, and we offer many different opportunities for our students to participate in activities outside the classroom. We do know that each of you in this call and every single student is different. Still, regardless of who you are, where you've come from, we're encouraging all of our students to expand their horizons and challenge themselves, whether this might be in the form of work experience opportunities or athletics and sports clubs. One of the highlights at UBC is that we are a research institution and innovation is truly at our core. UBC, we're proud to have a substantial research budget of over $750 million annually. So this supports a wide range of over about 9,500 different projects each year. And what does this mean for new students like yourselves? Well, it means that you get to interact, you get to learn, you get to work with the best in the field. Students from all departments can participate in these research opportunities, and they're not limited to just research in the labs with test tubes. We also have so many field research opportunities as well. Professors are always keen to have you join their labs and research projects, either as a volunteer or even as a paid research assistant sometimes as well. In terms of work experience, we provide many different options to facilitate our students' career paths early on. An opportunity that a lot of our students like to take advantage of is our co-op program, and this is unique to Canada. So the co-op program is a bridge between the classroom, what you've learned in the classroom, and real-world application by offering full-time paid internships to apply this knowledge that you've learned. You take a full break from your studies, you focus on building that network early on, and we make sure you work under the supervision and guidance of a manager. So on the screen here, we see some of just a few different names, awesome companies, and different places of which our students have at UBC have worked with in the past through our co-op program. These can be in Canada, they can be abroad as well. And I'm always really proud to share that statistic you can see on the top right there, that 90% of co-op students receive a job offer within 1 month of graduating. So it really ties into that postgraduate work permit I mentioned earlier on, and it indicates how valuable these co-op opportunities are. There are also a lot of opportunities to get involved if you're an interested athlete or want to take up a new sport. I mentioned the World 2026 World Cup earlier too. We have varsity level competitions, intramural sports, and sports clubs. So as I mentioned, our facilities are all state of the art, from our Olympic size aquatic center to the tennis courts and the ice hockey rinks. Our sports programs are really designed to be fully inclusive. So it's a healthy mix of competitive teams and beginner level sports. So whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting out, there's definitely a place for you somewhere within some sort of team. And for those of you coming abroad, we offer the opportunity to try out new Canadian sports like ice hockey and lacrosse too. So to add to that, we have over 400 different clubs and societies running between both of our campuses, and all of these are student-led. So everything and anything you can think of that you might be interested in probably has a club associated with it. From our esports club to our dance club, we have an ice cream club and a UBC MUN as well. It's really a great way to find people with similar interests as you, and it gives you a chance to gain some organizational and leadership skills as well. The coolest thing, something I enjoyed, is that if you can't find a club that align with your interests, there are opportunities to start your own, because I mentioned they're all student-led, right? So like a colleague of mine, when he was a student at UBC, he opened his own Mahjong club during his undergrad, and it's still running to this day. So in the first week or two at university, we call the day Clubs Day. So all clubs have their booths lined up on one of the main university walks, and students can walk around and explore any clubs that might be of interest to them. At UBC, we have a lot of student support networks and offers, showing our commitment to student support and well-being. We do understand the stress and anxiety that comes with exams. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with these years too. And because of that, UBC offers a truly wide array of all these different initiatives to support students in managing your stress, from our counseling services to our wellness center. Most of our student advisors are human, but like in the picture there, we have some pet advisors too. This is part of our BARC program, where students can come in to the BARC program, take a breather, and pet some therapy dogs with their friends. So hopefully I've piqued your interest. And some of you might think now that UBC would really be the right fit for you. So I'm going to briefly go over the application process. So when you're applying, it's fully online. The whole application process is entirely online, and it's 3 easy steps. The first one is to take a look at the campus you want to apply to and the degree program you want to apply to. You can list up to 2 preferences for your degree, and you just have to make sure you're meeting the general requirements, which is the same for all of you. And then there are degree-specific requirements, which vary depending on the degree program you're applying to. And there's a clear breakdown of all of this on our website. Next, you have to make sure you apply by January 15th. After that, you get an email from our admissions office, and we'll be in touch with your school counselor as well, just to make sure you've submitted all the documents necessary to complete your profile by March 15th. In terms of academic programs, almost anything you might be interested in studying, we probably have a major that matches that. We have a buffet of over 260 different undergraduate majors, and these all fall within 43 different bachelor degree programs. So these range from the arts to business to STEM, and there are a lot of niche programs that you might not have heard of before, like kinesiology or urban forestry, and I recommend everyone check those out too. Remember that you'll be applying to the degree program first and not the specific major. So you'll get that first or second year to sort of explore what you want to do, see what you're most passionate about, what you're getting the best grades in before declaring your major and specialization. In terms of admission requirements, this is the important part. UBC adopts a more holistic approach. So while your grades are very important and they are crucial, no one is being admitted to UBC based off grades alone. The personal profile is a section that's becoming increasingly important for us, and we call our admissions process competitive and comparative, which means that each year you're competing with a group of students you're applying with. So your application will truly be evaluated based off a combination of both your academic performance and your personal profile. So some programs may also require additional elements like a portfolio, video interview, or supplemental application as well. The personal profile, as I mentioned there, comprises of a series of short essay questions. We expect applicants to reflect and evaluate on what they've learned at school and what would make them a good fit for UBC and why they're applying to the degree program they're applying for. It's important that I highlight the word that it's a reflective piece here. We really want students to use this as an opportunity to tell us about themselves outside of their grades authentically. We do also have English language admission standards in which there are 9 different ways to meet. The most commonly of which are via these proficiency tests like the IELTS or TOEFL. This is something else you'll have to consider and ensure that you meet the requirements when submitting your application. So going abroad is expensive, and we do know that certain costs are involved. So financial planning is essential when planning for university. We do recognize that an undergraduate degree at UBC is a significant investment, and UBC therefore dedicate over 35 million Canadian dollars a year to financial assistance specifically for international students like you guys. So before you apply, it's important to consider all of these things and weigh up whether your family can afford a total cost of UBC education. At UBC, we have 2 main types of awards for international students. One is merit-based and the other is needs-based. So the first 2 I'm going to share with you here today are our merit-based awards. So both of them you'll automatically be considered for if you are admitted to UBC. So the first one here is the Outstanding International Student Award. It's a one-time entrance award ranging up to 25,000 Canadian dollars. The second merit-based award is the International Major Entrance Scholarship, and this is a renewable award covering up to 20,000 Canadian dollars. So this can be for 4 years, so $20,000 each year for 4 years. So for both of these awards that I've just mentioned there, you'll automatically be considered for so long as you apply before that January 15th deadline. Students will be evaluated based off their UBC applications, so your academic grades and your personal profile. So students with strong academic records, strong personal profile will be those who are considered for this award. If you come from a background of higher financial needs, we do have an International Scholars Program. So this is a needs and merit-based award. So this applies if you're a great student with a lot of community involvement. You might be on a scholarship currently, and you might come from a background of higher financial need. So this is financially based. So we would require, follow-up documentation, and your school must nominate you as well. This requires a separate application. And for any students who have any questions about this, please feel free to shoot me an email as well. And for any students interested in studying at our UBC Okanagan campus, we do have the International Welcome Award, which is a one-time 5,000 Canadian dollar entrance award applied to all international students' first-year tuition. So this $5,000 Canadian dollar award will be credited towards your tuition fees for your first year when you study at UBC Okanagan. Something to note, though, is that this award is only eligible for students who have selected UBC Okanagan as their first choice in their application. Okay, so I know it's been a lot of content to take in. Thank you guys all so much for your patience. The 3 main points I want you to remember are here on the board. At UBC, our motto is Tum Est, which translates to it's yours or it's up to you. And what we mean by this is that any university journey is really what you make of it. So we really encourage all of you to take your time and explore, do your research, attend sessions like these. And by doing so, you're truly challenging yourself and honoring your journey wherever that may be, hopefully UBC. If you're interested, I also encourage you to visit our website. It'll have all the information that I covered here today and more. More information about admission requirements, tuition, scholarships, housing, and so on. We'd also like to invite all of you to attend our virtual campus tours. These are led by our lovely student ambassadors. And please feel free to reach out to me directly or through any of our social media platforms as well. And thank you guys so much for your time. If there's any questions, I think we have plenty of time to run through some questions as well.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Malcolm, for the presentation. We really appreciated getting to know University of British Columbia from you. So, for everyone in the Zoom room, if you have any questions to Mr. Malcolm, kindly please either send them in the public chat, unmute them, unmute your microphone and ask the questions, or you could send direct messages to me or Mr. Malcolm, and Mr. Malcolm will be happy to answer them. So, I'll give 2 minutes for questions. We will start at 9:33, all right? Okay? Oh, one more thing before we start the question and answer portion in 1 minute. So I will be sending this link, which is the post-college fair form. Now, should you be interested in hearing from these other universities, especially University of British Columbia, answer this form and we will add your emails to the university's mailing lists. So if you want to hear more from the universities, answer the form in the chat, all right? We'll start Q&As in a while. All right, so I think we can start the question and answer portion right now. I got a question from the chat. What is the minimum required score for IB students to be able to get into UBC? And what is the score that gives you a higher chance of getting accepted?
Great. Yep. So that's a good question and probably one of our most common questions. We don't have a strict degree or grade threshold per se for IB students. It also varies depending on the degree program you're applying for. So some have sort of stricter requirements. I'd say as a general rule of thumb, we're looking at your mid to upper 30s to be within that competitive range. So I'd say mid to upper 30s out of 42. So not including that extra 3 points. So mid to upper 30s out of 42.
All right, thank you very much. So I got another question. Hello, I have questions for the International Scholars Program. First question is, how many students are granted the scholarship per year? And the second question is, are research endeavors funded to buy the scholarship?
Yep, so the numbers change each year. I don't have the exact numbers for the most recent year. I do know it's below 100. We do have a lot of applicants to this one, and it is extremely competitive. So it is really for students who go above and beyond their grades, community involvement, strong profile, all of the above, and obviously come from background of higher financial need. And could you please repeat the second part of the question there?
Oh, okay. The second part of the question was, are research endeavors or like research or thesis in the University of British Columbia funded by this scholarship, or how are research endeavors funded in the university?
Right. Yeah. So those won't be funded via these scholarships that I mentioned there, but there are different funds that help fund different research endeavors, and these vary based off the different degree programs, professors, and things like that.
Right, thank you very much. So we have another question. Does UBC look at your extracurriculars or only your grades in the application process?
Great. Yeah. So I can expand a little bit about the personal profile. So these really, the personal profile really ties in with your extracurriculars. So it is truly a holistic approach. So we look at your grades, yes, and those are important, but a huge chunk of your application is that personal profile. We want students to, incorporate maybe 4 or 5 different extracurriculars, one or two of which are maybe closely related to the degree program you're applying to. And through these extracurriculars, we want you to show us different skills, your passion, different commitments, and things like that. So extracurriculars are truly very important for us. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Another question. What is the average class size at the Vancouver campus? And while you're at it, what's also the average class size in the Okanagan campus?
Yeah, so it depends on the degree program as well, differs. Generally in Vancouver, in your first year, you start with larger, like huge lecture theaters, and these can be, between 100 and 200 students. You do have classes outside of that with smaller class sizes as well. And so this is something that a lot of students benefit off in our Okanagan campus, is that in those lectures and classes, you do have much smaller class sizes, generally are between 25 to 35 in that range. So you do get a little more sort of contact time with the professors as well.
All right, thank you so much. I got another question in the chat. With an OSSD, is it easier to get in the into UBC, specifically asking for the Sauder School of Business?
Right. So there's no curriculum that makes it easier or harder to get into UBC. It really depends on your performance within that curriculum. So for OSSD students going into our Vancouver campus for the Sauder Bachelor of Commerce degree, we are looking for students who are within that sort of upper 80s to 90s range. So like between an A and a B, we are looking for top students there. And for that, there's also a maths requirement as well.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I got another question. For the English language requirement, do I need to submit the TOEFL or IELTS even though the school's mode of instruction is in English, or will a certification be all right enough?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that each student will need to look into individually because there are a lot of different circumstances. If you are completing an internationally recognized degree like the IB, and before that you did GCSEs, where you did basically took 4 years of English as a first language prior to graduating, there are different requirements that you complete naturally by doing so. So I'm going to post a link in the chat now, or well, I think that goes to you specifically, Andrea. If you could share that with everyone, that links to our English language competency requirements. So each student's a little different in that aspect, but generally the rule of thumb is that if you are completing a recognized international degree where English is the first language 4 years prior to graduating, you do meet those requirements naturally.
All right, thank you. So I'll just pause the Q&A and just announce that as what Malcolm shared to me, the English language requirements have been posted on the chat. So I've sent the link. And if you want to view the English language requirements, you could click the link that I just sent in chat. All right, now to resume with the question and answer portion. Okay, so I've received another question in the chat. How committed is the university in helping international students, especially Filipino students, assimilate into the university? This can include how students are moving into the campus, how they're dorming, and additionally, how Filipino students are integrated into the student culture of the university.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for your question. Yeah. So there's a large Filipino diaspora in Vancouver. I'm sure a lot of you know as well. We do put a lot of effort and initiatives to help with international students specifically because we do know the challenge that comes with, moving to a whole new country and, beginning your studies there. So we have a lot of different orientation programs from our Jumpstart, which is, for all first year students, but we have specific societies and clubs that help out with that as well. So there are Filipino societies on campus too, and you'll be able to meet, sort of other Filipino people and other first year students in your first year. So we put a lot of effort into sort of making sure our first year students or um, first year students are sort of mingling with each other. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So I've got this other question from the chat that basically asks, what are the opportunities for the student outside of academics in the university? So this could include extracurriculars and organizations.
You mean at the university? Sorry.
Yes, at the university itself, and also
Hmm.
including downtown Vancouver.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned the co-op program earlier on. So that's a way to get involved in terms of work experience. We do have our own sort of internal sort of careers programs. So for any students looking for part-time work at the university, there's so many opportunities there. Get a little pocket money as well. And I mentioned that we do have over 400 different clubs and societies between both our campuses. So this is where sort of most students get involved because on that clubs day, and that sort of relates back to the last question, ways to get involved, ways to get more comfortable. You meet all these different people in your first year. You join all these new clubs and societies and sort of join different events and programs through that.
All right, thank you very much for that answer. And here's another question that I've received. So I've actually attended previous UBC sessions myself, and I've been made aware of these very famous alumni. So how do these alumni of UBC inspire aspiring college students who want to attend the university? What qualities do these UBC alumni have?
Yeah, so we do have a very expansive alumni network that goes, around the whole world. I think something we're really proud of is sort of the authenticity that a lot of our alumni in terms of the paving their own roads. So this goes beyond between both campuses, where students sort of make up their own paths along the way in terms of their experience, their education, what they want to do, and sort of being flexible this way. There's so many different things you can become at UBC, and we love creative students, students who like to collaborate with different students, and most importantly, students who are passionate about what they're doing. So I mentioned that we are research institutions, so we are always encouraging all our students to get involved and be sort of proactive in pursuing these passions too.
Right, thank you very much. I got another question in the chat. What are important things about UBC life and culture that more people should know about, especially to aspiring college students who want to apply?
Yeah, so university life at UBC, it's honestly amazing. It's extremely inclusive, and there's so many opportunities to get involved outside the classroom. So I go there in the summers as a worker. I work for UBC, and every year I'm there. I'm so impressed with how nice all the students are, and how inclusive they are, and how willing they are to just have lunch with you, have a chat, and you really sort of feel the aura of the university campus lifestyle. Um, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any more questions that would be like to be asked to Mr. Malcolm? I'll give you 2 more minutes to send more questions.
Yeah, and for any students who sort of think of questions later on or forgot to ask anything, they're welcome to send me an email as well, or scan the QR code, or fill out that form that Andrei shared, and he'll share those details with me. So um, don't worry if you forget to ask anything tonight.
Once again, I'd like to bump the post-college fair form. So if again, you're interested in hearing from these universities, especially University of British Columbia, you would want to answer the post-college fair form, as this will allow your emails to be added to the mailing list of these universities. So if you want to get updates from UBC, if you're interested in applying to UBC, answer the post-college fair form, tick the UBC box, and we will add your email to UBC's mailing list. All right? So once again, bumping, if you have any more questions for Mr. Malcolm, please send them now.
I'm going to share another link with you, Andrei, which links to our admission requirements. So this one's for IB students, but if you open that page, it opens up requirements for all different types of curriculums as well. So how it works is you select which campus you want to apply to and which degree program you're interested in applying to, and it gives you a sort of good overview of the score or the grade you're aiming for, as well as any degree-specific requirements that might be relevant to the degree program you're applying for.
All right, that's noted. So I've got this one more question. So again, through the application process, what does UBC prefer? A highly specialized student or a well-rounded student?
We are looking for well-rounded students. So obviously, if you are a highly specialized student and getting great grades in relevant topics to what you're applying to, that's important as well. But in terms of the application as a whole, we are looking for well-rounded students, both academically and in their personal profile or extracurriculars. Specialized students in certain topics, it doesn't mean, that doesn't mean that that's a no for students who are specialized in certain topics, but generally students who perform well in the admissions process are fairly well-rounded.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any more questions? All right, there seems to be none. So with that, we'll end the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Malcolm and UBC, for devoting your time to present and advertise your college to aspiring Filipino students who wish to apply international. So thank you everyone for attending, and we will see you in the next session at 10 o'clock.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, as I said, if there's any other questions, you're welcome to email me directly. And I hope everyone has a nice rest of the night and enjoys the next session too.
Thank you very much. So
Thanks,
this
guys.
session, so this breakout room has been ended. So everyone will head back to the main room by 10 o'clock. We will resume and we will have 2 more universities. All right. So everyone, please head back to the main room. We'll start at 10 o'clock. See you then.